There are two important reference points in this cap. The first one is this peak and this point here where the center of the peak, the bill, meets the cap fabric. And the second one will be the button at the top. So I want to refine this bill, this peak, and we're going to use a rasp and just round this over so this is a nice smooth curve, because if I look at the cap, this is a beautiful smooth curve. So let's just refine this. I've done both sides, and you want to try and feel this so that it's a nice smooth shape. You don't any flats. Nice smooth round sort of feeling. It's not finished, we're going to scrape this eventually, but it gives us a nice sense of the bill. And here we're not going to actually do the outline yet, but it comes along here sort of like this, and it drops down to the table or the floor, whatever this is sitting on, and then it will actually come up here and underneath there a little bit. So there's a little bit of wood to come away here. I've done it on the other side, I think you can see there. So this wood will eventually come away, and all this is going to be undercut. So there's the edge, but we haven't set this edge in right. What I will do is make sure that's flat, because the bill is flat, and then put in this center line again. So there's my first reference point, and this will be, if that's the center line, this will have to be the same width on either side as it goes in. So we will have to check that, and you know, we're going to use calipers or things like that to make sure we get that right. The button at the top here is high spot on the wood, but you can see, I hope, that it's sloping down like that at the back. So before we even begin to put it in, we have to create that plane. So we'll literally do that by just skimming off this. That plane there is the plane of the top of the button. So I want to get that fairly right, and it's coming down quite sharpish and over there like that. So the button itself now, looking at my hat, is here. Is to the side of the center line. So it's somewhere about there. Again, it's a bit of a, what would you call it? We're inventing this hat a little bit. So if you're a little bit out, it doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do is come around this bit here with a deep V, or in this case a U-shaped gouge, and take the wood away like this. So this in a way is a little bit of relief carving, because I'm taking the background down effectively here. And then I'm going to set in a gouge which is pretty much the same as the button. So I'm just going to stab that in there like this, come round, see that crumbling away. Now at the crease here, it's just at the top of the hat, it's just a little groove. This piece of wood comes down and into there. But I'll clear all those away. I don't need to round it over at the moment. I'll just leave it as a little proud cylinder. Don't undercut at this stage. Keep it just straight on. And just remove the wood around it. Like that. Why this button is important is because if you look at the hat, everything, all the creases and everything are radiating from it. So this now becomes our focal point for these lines that we've drawn. My button's now standing proud, and I can see how I can now refine my lines. For example, this line is coming across here towards the centre, and this one, which I've got over here, is actually, again, pointing to the button. So the button is a very good reference pointing that way. So that line is like there, and this line is coming down here. So what I'm going to do is start refining these lines and the shapes in between. What I'm not going to worry about are all these seams. That's a surface decoration which we're going to try and put in later. So I'm just going to start following, looking at this model, looking at my carving, and the best I can, seeing how this shape matches this shape here. Then I'll redraw this line a little bit, this ridge, to sort of get me a sense of where that's coming down here. My pencil down here, and then around there. So I can now start taking wood from in here, feeling this shape and coming down. I go as far as I can. At some point I'm going to switch to bent tools. And this one over here is coming along here and coming down here. Then this line itself, and along here, goes quite down, turns this corner. So there's this nice hollow in there. So I'm just going to look at these lines, follow them through, try and make them more accurate, but also more sensitive, in the sense that they're a bit narrower, perhaps in the right places, and so on. I've gone around the hat now, refining a little bit. There's more refining to do, but what I do need to do now is start bringing these around and underneath so I can make sense of some of these folds. So that's going to be my next job, bringing these round. There's a flat bit across here under which this tucks. So I want to suggest that, round this over a little bit, but leave this mass for the moment. We'll deal with that as a separate entity. So just creating that flat line that comes along here. Here we have the baseball hat at the end of this stage. So it's still quite crude, but you can see the shapes coming in. If I compare it with my real hat, it's not exact, and I think that's important for you to bear in mind that we're not doing an exact copy. We're doing this by eye, so as long as it's looking about right, that's good enough. So we've got the main shapes in, we've got it starting to come around the end, we've got the bit left over for the strap here, we've got the button there, we've got a nice bill here. So now the next stage is to start really refining this little at a time and coming towards our finished surface.